How you going, Shane?
Alrighty.
All right.
So I had this idea called Shane and Shaun Shoot the Shit Show. So I thought we might get together every now and again and just shoot the shit about one particular topic. And the other day we were discussing the fact that not a lot of people know the origins of the dozer as a nickname.
True.
So let's go back to when you first started racing. How did you get involved in BMX?
My parents built a house in Werribee, or Wyndham as we call it now, and the actual house they built is right next door to the Wyndham BMX track. So I guess I sort of heard about BMX a little bit prior to that, and I actually went to the primary school, which is also next door to the Wyndham BMX track, and I was in a class grade 5 with Nathan Scholes, if you remember Nathan.
Yep.
And his dad was the president of the BMX club there, and it was just, I remember seeing his bike, which was a Malvern Star Supermax Chromo, and just absolutely thought that was the greatest thing ever. He let me have a few rides of it, and that was it. I was absolutely hooked. He had a spare GT Cruiser, so for 6 months I got into it, borrowed gear, and raced Junior Cruiser back then, and got into racing that way. And my parents were kind of a little bit reluctant because they had just bought me a 10-speed racer. So BMX was kind of off the sort of thing there, where it wasn't affordable, as you know, building a new house and trying to get themselves established. So I was racing a borrowed bike, and then basically just did odd jobs, helped my grandparents, collected Coke bottles, mowed a lot of lawns, and stuff like that, and saved up, I think, $180, and bought myself a PK Ripper out of the trading post, which actually I wish I'd kind of kept because it had some pretty good parts, Shimano parts on it. And yeah, just started racing, and just locally, like at Altona and all those sort of tracks, Camp Meadows, all those sort of tracks around there. Didn't travel too far straight away, but yeah, slowly sort of broadened my horizons, made friends with you.
So that would have been, what, early 80s when you first started?
Yeah, probably, 81, 82, possibly. So yeah, long.
Would have been unusual in that time to actually have a 10-speed rather than a BMX bike, because it seemed like everyone had a BMX bike around that time.
Yeah, it was. It was funny because I had a choice of either a BMX or a 10-speed, and what happened is when I chose the 10-speed, I didn't live next door to a BMX track, so I'd already made the choice. I got it for Christmas, and next thing you know, we were building a house near a BMX track. So it was kind of ironic that after all that, I've made BMX my life, my sport, that sort of thing. And the 10-speed.
You haven't been doing it all this time, have you? You stopped for girls and cars and the job, and then you got back into it. So how long were you out of the sport for?
Initially, I got out of it for, as you know, I was in the Australian Army. So in that period, I didn't race. I tried to, but it just didn't happen. And then I came back in '93, and I caught up with Julian Millis, and he was running the S&M team, and he just sort of said, "Why don't you come back? I can help you out. I'm getting a team together. Would you be interested?" And I'm like, "Yeah, 100%." And jumped on the S&M team with Jules and Danny, and later on Patchy, and obviously Julian's brother Xavier. And that was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, and then I had a bad crash at Barwon Eagles, and had to have a little bit of surgery on my knee. And the surgeon at the time told me if I was to go back to racing BMX, that I could possibly be walking with a serious limp and all that sort of stuff by the time I was 30. So I kind of took that as gospel, because you trust doctors, and I stopped racing. I just kind of pulled the pin, which was really hard to do. And then, yeah, as you say, I sort of, got a good job at Toyota, and got into cars, and had a pretty good long-term relationship, and et cetera, et cetera. And then, just got back into it in 2001 and haven't basically stopped since. So
even through that time where you're off the bike, were you thinking about BMX, or is it just completely out of the system for a while?
I did think about it, and I used to go to newsagents back when we used to have print media, and flick through the BMX pluses and BMX Action / Go magazine, and I just like to keep track of what's going on, and pick up DVDs or VHSs of like road falls and props and stuff like that. So there was always that interest. It's something I think is part of who I am. It's in my DNA, and I just love the BMX lifestyle, the BMX life. It's not a sport, it's a lifestyle for me, and I'm not going to give it up anytime soon. It's such a big part of my life. But yeah, I always thought about it, and I had a mountain bike in that late 90s period, because I thought, well, if I can't race, I mean, riding's good for you. So I thought, well, maybe if I just ride a mountain bike, I should be okay. Maybe I should have kept the 10-speed racer, but it was one of those little 24-inch ones too. It was tiny. It was a tiny little racer, and I just always thought about it. And then I actually went to one of the DK Nationals, those big DK Nationals at Eastfield. Remember catching up with Trevor Webber and Tony Harvey and all those guys, and it was like I'd kind of never left. The guys just welcomed me back, open arms. How you going? What have you been up to? And it was like I'd never left. And you know what? I'm like, I need to be part of this again. I just got goosebumps watching all the top fuelers, all the pros, coming from all over Australia. Back when Luke Medill and Shaun White and Kamikaze. Paul, what's his name? Michael, what was his name? Sorry, Michael Robinson. Yeah, all those guys just chasing the money, and it was really good and just great atmosphere. And I'm like, yeah, I need to be a part of this. So got a bike off Dave Comport at his old shop there at Pedal Inn. Got a Robinson Patriot, which was just an absolute beautiful looking bike, and yeah, here we are. Still.
So you've been on a few teams. There was Speedline and Profile. Was there anything before that?
Obviously I rode for Big M back in the day. S&M with Jules.
So what did Big M mean for you? Did you get like free chocolate milks and strawberry milks?
I think there was a little bit of, when you used to be able to get those UHT Big M's.
Yeah.
We sort of got a few of that. We got a little bit of that love, Egg flip was one of my favorite flavors. We got free uniforms, and we got a lot of exposure being a huge team. It was a lot of fun. I just remember the colors was pretty wild. It was pink with cerise and white. So yeah, but look, back then it was just good to be part of a team and to be recognized, to be put on a team. And I was, as it is now with Profile, I was even humbled back then to be on a team and part of something, travel around Australia, and that was good times. And I may have not got the results, but I've got so many great memories locked away in here, and that and friendships that have lasted over 30 years. And I think that's the real reward from being part of this great sport.
Yeah, it's funny, I know a lot of people that sort of have been friends with their childhood friends all their lives, but I kind of left them behind personally, and all my good closest friends are from BMX racing. Do you find it the same?
100%, and some of these people, you include them as your closest best friends, and they're always going to have your back, and they're always up for a bit of banter, and you're just on a different wavelength, and there's nothing wrong with that wavelength, but I guess, yeah, you just know that they sort of they're sort of from the same mindset. So, and as you know, a lot of us guys all have the same values, family and stuff like that, and respect. So I guess that's a good thing to be around also. So that's what I value. And yeah, just we always having heaps of fun, and we're looking after ourselves. Riding bikes is good for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So for BMX, probably the peak here in Australia would have been the early 80s. But what's kind of like the peak of your experience, rather than when BMX was at its biggest numbers wise? What era of BMX means the most to you?
I think I guess the mid school era, or even like say from like 2000, and I guess it was the changing of the guard. I think the bike industry went through a bit of a tough time, but I think we all stuck with it, and it was that expectation of it being in the Olympics, so that kind of got a lot of people excited, and it got the riders excited about, I mean, we talked about that sort of, imagine if it was in the Olympics. That was kind of a funny discussion. And BMX racing was in the X Games, and that was, that downhill stuff was just insane. It was just awesome to watch. It was such a great spectacle. And I think, yeah, for me, it was the color, it was the personalities. There was good guys and bad guys. There was guys that were, the Kyle Bennett's and all that sort of stuff. And then there was other characters like Kamikaze, and, John Purse was a bit of a bad guy, sort of putting people over the berms. And
Chris Moeller in his Vet Pro days.
Yeah. And even seeing Aussies, Warwick and obviously Kalen doing so well in America, sort of made you want to watch it. And obviously Sam just doing Aussies kicking ass on the biggest stage in the world, America. And it's kind of sad to see that maybe because of the Olympics that pros are not chasing the ABA or the USA BMX title as much, because they've got, they've got to do World Cups, or they can't, that's not part of their cycle or whatever, where guys used to, just pack a suitcase, pack their bike and throw their hat in the ring and try and win the ABA pro title, and it was such a prestigious thing. I mean, it still obviously is, but you just don't see guys gravitating from all over the world to actually do that. And I used to love, sitting there on the weekend and watching the live feed from the grands and just watching that pro shootout. That was awesome. I still do, but yeah, it's kind of lost a little bit of its luster.
So, what's your proudest moment in BMX racing on a personal level?
Besides, I guess the thing that's pretty important to me, and I know this from me, is I guess watching my daughter race. Mackenzie, I'm just super proud of, and being able to ride with my daughter. It was, yeah, I'd say that's a pretty proud moment. I guess just being able to ride and just hanging out with my friends and just doing the best I can. Like I said, I haven't got amazing results. I don't have a wall full of number one plates and big trophies, but you know what? I've had a blast. And I guess, well, actually one of them, when we got awarded life members, that was a pretty proud moment to be recognized for the amount of time and to be honored with yourself and, the Wallies and Simon Anderson and Trevor Weber.
I think guys, Dean Patch was there too, wasn't he?
Dean Patch. And those guys, Caroline Savodka. And those people, as we know, we've known them for that long, and we consider them as friends still. So I guess, yeah, that was a proud moment also.
That list keeps growing for me. I think the Slatter boys were there, Brian and Robert.
Yep. And yeah, like I said, it's good to be included in that integral part of our sport in this state. It's very humbling. So yeah, that would be another proud moment in the sport for me. And I guess also being part of, this great team that you and I and Glenn and Andrew on Profile Racing is I'm pretty pretty proud of that also.
You touched on something earlier that reminds me, BMX means so much to so many different people. It means different things to different people. So some people, you might talk to them and they'll say, oh, my greatest moment was, making the national championships finals. But you touched on something completely different, and it reminds me that it just means, sorry, I just got to get this straight in my head. It means so much different to so many different people. So what does BMX actually mean for you in its core?
Yeah, that actually is a really interesting question, and I guess it's on so many different levels. I guess BMX influences me so much. It influences the way I talk. It influences the way I dress. It influences what I do. Like ride. I try and ride trails. It influences my day-to-day activity. That's just how much it has effect on me. And I guess I just love, no matter what I look at, whether it's, watching guys ride street, ride half pipe, park, dirt jump, it I love it. Like, it just brings me joy. Like, I just and watching riders do stuff, you're like, oh my gosh, like, did they just do that? And it's even like, say, watching Instagram videos or whatever, like guys like Corey Anastasio and Todd Loynes or whatever, and they're all still riding and killing it. Like, they're in their 40s. So that's inspiring. Look, I'm 49 and, I'm sort of still having a crack. So I think it keeps me fit, keeps my mind fit, like, it's good for your mental health, good for your fitness. So yeah, it's awesome. It's rad.
I think you did mention earlier it's more of a lifestyle than anything else. I totally agree.
Yeah, and look, you and I have been, I would consider you one of my best, closest friends. I mean, I know that sounds a bit funny, but yeah, look, you and I have known each other for a long time, and you and I have a lot of similar views on what the sport means to us. And yes, racing is such a small part. I mean, it's a great part, because you're testing yourself. It's what you get out of it. If you want to train and be a machine and do all that sort of stuff, but you can just get out there and have a bit of fun and a bit of a laugh too. So if you want to take it serious, you can, and if you don't want to, well, you just go out, race, have a bit of fun, and at the end of the day, it's a good day out with mates, but the hanging out, just going to a track on the weekend and just pushing each other, having a laugh, doing some jumps, or hitting up a set of doubles that you hadn't hit before, and you get that, oh my God, I did that, wow, that's awesome. And you get that positive feedback from your friends. And even though we're all competitors, like, I know, I'll say, oh man, you were looking good in that race, mate. Oh geez, you did that really well. So everybody's very positive, and I find that's really good too. We all try and help each other. Oh, what gearing you running? Oh, on your cruiser, and I'm running this. And 9 times out of 10, people are so willing to help you out, even though you might be their competitor on the track. Everybody's willing to help each other, which I find is really refreshing, especially in this day and age, sadly.
So do you have any goals for the near and the future? Obviously, we're not going to be racing anytime soon at the moment, but do you have goals, things you want to achieve before you finish up with racing completely?
One day, I would love to be able to beat you in a race.
That's pretty close. To set the bar a bit higher, mate.
I actually beat you in a runoff one time at Spring Valley. Because you slipped a pedal on the first jump. I will never forget that. And I'm like, I just beat Shane Jenkins. I made the main. Maybe it was the B final, I don't know. But anyway, so I guess, for me, I just want to keep progressing and and having as much fun as I can possibly have with my friends, my teammates, my friends, my daughter, because she still rides with me even though she doesn't race. I guess, and just keep healthy, obviously, and as I say, just keep progressing and do my best to represent the sponsors and the team that I ride for, and just be an all-around nice guy, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, look, I do like making finals. I guess at the state titles, it's always a nice buzz to get in the final, that adrenaline rush of, wow, I made a final. This is awesome. And 9 times out of 10, I'm just absolutely stoked just to make the final, and whatever happens. I'm happy with the result. So, I mean, you know me, I'm pretty cruisy, pretty chilled. So, I mean, I probably wouldn't mind having a little bit more of a competitive edge, but look, I'm happy, and that's all that matters.
Do you think there's an expiry date on your body to, stop riding BMX, or do you just see yourself as going on as long as you possibly can?
I will keep going until I have to put profile stickers on my wheelchair.
Until
Till the walls feel, yeah. Look, I can, touch wood, whatever. I think, I mean, there's no reason, especially in this day and age, we can look after ourselves a lot better. And I would think that, I mean, I do have a bit of a dad bod, but I mean, I kind of do look after myself pretty well. I try and eat well and all that sort of stuff. So, longevity is all depending on how much you want to do it. And if we do the right thing, look, I reckon easy, another 5-6 years easy.
I think I've been saying the whole 5-6 years easy since I was 21.
100%. I agree with that 100%. And look, and you and I, look, we're in the twilight of our 40s. The big 50, more for you sooner than later. But and once upon a time I was kind of, you would think, coming up to 50, it would be well and truly done from BMX. But and especially in our age, like there's some plenty of fast guys still, actually guys that are insanely fast, and they're in their 50s. And you're like, well, all that experience of them, racing for 30 plus years and all that sort of stuff, that does come into it. So I would like to think that I'm one of those guys. So, and people are amazed that, especially people I work with, like, you race BMX still? I'm like, yeah. And then you show them videos or pictures and they go, wow, they're actually impressed, without big noting myself. But it's actually cool to see people, generally like, oh, wow, your age, you can actually still do that. So the proof's in the pudding, I suppose.
One thing I haven't touched on, which I've been meaning to, where did the name Dozer come from?
The whole name Dozer. So there was state titles at Frankston. Look, you and I have kind of had a bit of a conjecture. I think it was 2013. It was the first moto in, I guess it would have been 40 to 44. And I think it was the first moto into the first corner at Frankston. State titles, dirt turnstile, and a couple of guys out the front sort of come together and they washed out, and I was probably mid-pack possibly. And there's some great photos of me just basically plowing through the pack. And one of my Speedline teammates, Stuart Kelly, Stewie, he called me the Sebastozer because I used to live in a place called Sebastian, so he kind of meshed it together. And then as things go with nicknames, it got shortened to just the Dozer. And I think the year after the state titles, I ended up putting that on the back of my jersey just for a bit of, shits and giggles, bit of a laugh. And, commentators started calling me that and people called me that. So, look, I think it's kind of just one of those things. I mean, as you know, my nickname for a long time was Iceman. And, some people even said they didn't even really know my real name. So that was kind of funny when I was a teenager. What is actually your name? And people used to call my mum Mrs. Ice, like that's my mum,
It takes on a whole new meaning this time around, doesn't it, really?
It certainly does. Yeah. It's I guess, I'm not going to get Iceman written on the back of my jersey anytime soon. I think I'm pretty happy with Collins. But, yeah, it's kind of funny that, BMX, everybody gets a kind of a nickname. And, like I'm pretty happy even that, like, some people still call me Iceman. It's kind of cool, and that's sort of popping up a little. The commentators are kind of calling me that, which I don't mind. It's kind of, we need characters. I think we all need to be who we are, and BMX kind of values that. I think we all have our characters and our nicknames, and it's fun. It's good. I think it's it's good for characters. We need that. I think like a lot of you look at some racing and all the pros sometimes all kind of look the same. They all wear dark gear. Their bikes are dark, but I think color's coming back. Because like in the 2000s, that color was and like even in the 80s, fluoro. I mean, I love my fluoro. I'll always love fluoro. But yeah, it's just it's good to have a bit of a character and stuff. And hopefully, I am one of the characters in our sport. So that's cool.
I know it's been good to have you in the team van and have a few laughs as we travel the countryside. It can be quite a boring trip, traveling 8 to 10 hours at a time. If everyone's snoozing the whole way through.
There have been some epic trips for sure in the van. And yeah, look, I guess I've always been a bit of a court jester, and I like to promote a positive vibe and make people laugh. I get great joy out of being that happy guy and making people laugh. And I probably do some crazy stuff to get a few laughs. I mean, and we make some great edits, and me running behind the van pretending that get to the chopper, that sort of thing. And it's, I guess, that just in the world we sometimes live in, I think it can be a little bit serious, and and we all work and we have to pay bills, and just to let off a little bit of steam and just have some fun, just some innocent fun. We're not hurting anybody. That's good. I think it's a good positive message that you can still be yourself and have a bit of fun, and we don't have to take life so seriously. But yeah, look, van trips, especially the way home when we're fatigued and the filters come off, we say some crazy stuff, and
we'll have to,
listening to punk virgin. Hey,
we'll have to shoot shit about the van trips another time, I think. Otherwise we could talk forever. But there was one more thing. Those as dad joke battles.
Yes.
So you're always talking about having fun. How much fun are they for you? Like, it seems like you get a few laughs out of it, and you've talked to some pretty high class riders lately, just doing dad joke battles. What's that like for you?
Oh, it's really interesting, and yeah, it's definitely a lot of laughs, and it's funny. People, the couple of people, Lauren especially was a little, not that she was reluctant, but she didn't think that she's like, I don't really know any dad jokes. It's like kind of, I mean, the beauty of Google, I suppose, is you can probably Google them, but once they go, oh yeah, okay, you can see them having a lot of fun, which is, I guess, at the end of the day, that's kind of the point. Like Adam Sylvester, like he's been a great friend over a few years, and it was a lot of fun, and he understands our humor. And Michael Bias, look, he just smoked me. So yeah, it's a heap of fun, and I guess it's an interesting thing to do. And I'm I've got a few people in the works. Their people are talking to my people, and I'm trying to get a few more up on ECI TV. It's been a blast, and I'm stoked to be part of the show. So it's been actually even heaps of fun for myself.
It's a learning process, isn't it? You sort of learn about yourself as much as you learn about sort of all the technical side of it, and what actually makes people laugh. Because I remember the Hayden Fletcher. That was a bit of a flat line of that one.
Yeah, and I think, and we spoke about it. Like, him and I, too much pre-workout. 50 push-ups before I push record, all that sort of stuff. It was like we were in the elite final for the Australian title, so focused. But in that thing, it's like I've known Hayden ever since he was a little kid, and he's a great guy, on and off the track, and I have a lot of respect for him, and like I said, he's a good mate. So that was kind of between him and I anyway. That's kind of how we are. He still owes me 6 beers, and I still owe him 6 beers. But like, yeah, and as you say, so I definitely probably took the handbrake off a little bit and relaxed more. And every time it seems to be, I'm happy with how I'm evolving with it also. And as you say, it's a learning process. I mean, not all of us have 157 IQ points, so I'm just a year 10 dropout.
Who would you like to do a dad joke battle with? Who's like the number one person you'd like to do it with right now?
I would love to look. Actually, Afro Bob, as in Robert De Vilder, I think, because he's Dutch and the Dutch have such a dry humour, he probably would be really hard to laugh. That would be actually a challenge. But there's plenty of cool guys. I'm actually I wouldn't even mind like Tori Norhag or one of those guys, or like if you're out there, Luke Medill. I've been talking to Luke, so yeah, Luke would be cool because he's a bit of an icon in Australia. He's done a lot, achieved a lot, still active in the sport. Actually, maybe even Gary. If you're listening, Gary, I think Gary would be actually quite fun. You know what would actually be really cool? I think a dad joke battle inside the red van.
Oh, talk about the red van. So Gary's locked out of fishing for the next 5 or 6 weeks. So he was trying to figure out what he could do to pass his time because, Gary never sits still for 5 minutes, always doing something. So he rings me on Friday and says, I'm going to work on the van. So he's going to finish off all the lining and, make it all comfortable and plush and do a lot of the things he's been talking about for ages. If there was one thing you could put in the van, what would it be?
I would put in a little TV.
Oh yeah.
And bet it.
I was thinking more of a spa bath or something personally.
Yeah, or even look, I guess Gary is going to listen to this. Probably better drink holders in the back. Because like we spend a lot of time in the back, and I guess he started making those wooden little shelf, the little things where you could put compartments, and you'd put a drink in there, and then we'd pull up at the lights, and you're like, oh, I really hope that didn't spill. Or you might leave something in there, and you're like, oh, I might have left half a can in there, and it's So look, but we all know Gary's really busy, and he does have he's got so many irons and so many fires, and you're right, he just never stops. His brain's just I'd hate to actually have a look inside there, but yeah, it's just I know he'll get it sorted, and it'll be super good. But yeah, look, I would never take any of those road trips back. They've been so much fun, even though you get out and your bum doesn't work because it's so numb from sitting on those, because they're not really designed for long-term travel, are they? I mean, they're just token chairs, But we all manage, we all sleep, we all get it done, And, I've had some great conversations with, like with Paul Knox, and learned so much about the industry, and, because him and Gary have had their finger on the pulse and gone to shows, and they know so much history and about products and people they've met. So there's never a dull moment. And I guess in a way I've learned so much about BMX and the behind the scenes stuff that, I'm quite lucky to have that exposure to those sort of things, and even yourself, your stories and Glenn's stories and stuff that we've experienced together, I guess is another thing that I'm blessed. I'm actually so humbled to have those experiences with you guys.
It's not surprising, but we've talked about 20 minutes longer than what we originally planned.
Of course, because it's me. It's me.
and the fact that we're shooting the shit, which we just continue to do over and over every single day. So how about we cut it off there? I think that's pretty good sort of background on who the Dozer is and your history, and people have a bit more information about you as a person. So we'll find another topic to talk about sometime in the future. I don't want to get too regular, just in case we make promises we can't fulfill. How about we catch up again and talk about, I don't know, one of the many things you brought up as potential topics?
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I appreciate this. And if anybody's got any questions, just don't hesitate to ask. Come up and say hello. I'm always up for a chat. Always happy to give out free stickers. I'm pretty approachable. But yeah, I love all my friends and the people I meet all over Australia. So yeah, thanks for everybody's friendship and time. And yeah, thanks for this, Shane. I appreciate it.
Hopefully we see everyone again soon at the track.
I know, right? I'm hanging. I'm absolutely hanging.
Is the Bendigo track still open?
No, it's not. No, it closed. I'm not sure if it's officially, but obviously with us being on stage 3 now, it's all parks and stuff like that, and it's under council. So yeah, look, I'm lucky I can still go for like road rides on my mountain bike, or just put the pole up on my cruiser and go for a bit of a ride on the local bike path here, which there's plenty. I mean, I could do sprints, but look, I don't know, the motivation. I mean, I might even do it for something different to do. But yeah, look, that's why, yeah, we just gotta get through this, do the right thing, and we'll be back. 100%, we'll be back.
All right, Shaun, thanks very much for your time. Let's catch up for another Shane and Shaun Shoot the Shit show sometime in the near future.
Most definitely. Thanks again, mate. I appreciate it.
Cheers.